We're good?
We're good.
All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome to the Pickleball Effect podcast. I'm Braydon.
And I'm Kyle.
I don't know what episode we're on.
We are on 40.
Dude, 40?
Yep.
Like, people have been tuning in for 40
They
episodes.
have. More and more, too.
That's awesome, dude. I'm a little hangry. I got up like an hour ago. I haven't eaten yet. My flight came in really late last night. I woke up like an hour ago, so I'm in like a weird mood. We'll see. And I don't feel super prepared for today.
Sweet. We might get some good stuff out of
This
you
today. This might be our best podcast.
Yes.
But yeah, dude. So I'm just getting back from Dallas. Flew in last night. You didn't play Heroes, so Heroes was the local tournament.
Yep.
You didn't play. Did you go watch or anything?
Nope. I just set up some fun games here while I knew it was going to be dead. So.
A counter culture.
Yeah. Played with Susanna and them here, and then some other people the day before. So
I didn't even see who won. I talked with Abe about how he played, but I don't know who won or anything.
The women was Mariana and Chloe. Men's, I don't know if I saw who won men's. I think it was Michael Wolf and his partner.
Good for Michael.
Pretty sure.
That's awesome. Yeah, I haven't missed that tournament. I think I've done that in the last 3 years. And I was pumped to play with Abe in that one. But you didn't play with, you were telling me, I can't remember, you had a funny reason for not playing in it this year because you've always played in it too.
Yeah, I've just been boycotting that facility.
What's your beef against them?
A few years back, we only had one indoor place a few years back, as you know, and pickleball players were referenced to as white trash tennis players, which I don't disagree with. I am white trash, but I still took offense to it.
You'll have to tell me that full story later because that sounds like a funny one. But yeah, dude. So before I left for Dallas, I left on, let's see, it was Thursday. My little girl sent me the most adorable little voice message, just like, in like a texting voice message. And I'm going to play it because it hurts my heart and you guys will probably love it. Oh, gotta turn it up. Oh, starting it over.
Technical difficulties.
I love you, Dad. You have a good day, and you have a good day at the pickleball place.
Aww.
Right, dude, that little
That's
voice.
cute.
That little voice. Oh my gosh. That was Halston.
So did that help you?
No.
Oh.
Yeah, we could talk a little bit about how we played and just some stories from Dallas. But yeah, so I did singles Friday and then men's doubles on Saturday with Chris. So singles, I went 1 and 2 singles. I just need to learn how to play singles.
Different game. No, and you're at a disadvantage because there's not a ton of single players locally anyway to play with.
There's some. I need to play with them. There are some that play, but yeah, there's not a ton.
No.
And I mean, not to make it sound like I'm justified for getting my butt whipped, but
No.
I don't play very often, and I just feel like I get passed so easy, and I don't understand why. But I want to learn. I was chatting with somebody on Instagram. He volunteered to
Coach you?
to coach me a little bit.
Nice.
So we're gonna do a little film session together and talk some strategy, and then maybe I'll post that video on YouTube. But just like I feel like I have the shots, like I have the ground strokes, like I have good length. It's just a matter of learning how to play the game and learning how to cover the net because I just get passed so easy, and like I just don't know why.
When I play singles, I feel like I'm the same way. Like my court positioning is terrible because I don't understand singles as much. So like I'll move like I'm still playing doubles, and then I'm like leave tons of room open, and I'm like, well, I guess I should learn how to do.
I think that's exactly what it is, dude. Is I move like I do in doubles, thinking it'll work. Do you want to scoot over a little bit? I feel like you're out of frame a little bit. There we go. Yeah. Get Kyle in here. People want to see you, Kyle.
Hi guys.
And then doubles, Chris and I went 1 and 2. So the first match was best 2 out of 3. We went into the first game. We won it 11-7.
Nice.
I liked the way we played. And then I started, overthinking a little bit about like strategy, where to place it. And I kind of got into my own head a little bit. And like, it was 100% my fault. We lost that match. We ended up losing the next 2 games. And I felt like we could have won that one. To the other team's credit, they did start playing better. Like they started hitting some strong counters and started beating us. And we would have needed to step up our game from our first from the level of our first game to win that. But yeah, no, that one was 100% my fault, and I was just in the wrong headspace. I don't know what it was. Something about, I think I was just overthinking it, getting in my own head, and just like, because you just got to let loose and just play, right?
Yeah.
And like that's hard to get into that headspace, and that's how we were in that first game, because like we didn't know anything about them, and that's almost to your advantage because you just go play, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we were pumped to do it, and we went out there and we played well, and then just lost that one totally because of me.
No, you
So
guys didn't
that's
happen
bummer.
to play against Isaac and
Isaac and Will.
Yeah.
No, they had a great. They ended up playing
I saw
second.
They did good, yeah.
They I was really happy for them. They played fantastic. A silver it was like a 32 team bracket. It was big.
That's a big bracket.
Yeah, they had a lot of really good wins. They played great. Really happy for them. Yeah, and then like an hour later, we did our first game in the back draw, and I was like talking to the guys about. I was like, oh man, I just felt like I was in my own head. I want to go into this better, and I had a much better headspace going into this next game where because I want to be tense and focused, but you want to be loose and having fun.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like I kind of found that balance in that game, and so we were down 7-3 in that one, and I think we got the turn 8-7.
Okay.
And then it ended up winning that game. And that felt good. Like when Chris and I were both hitting our stuff, I actually really liked the way we played. Like it felt good. We felt dangerous. We played well that game, ended up winning that one. I can't remember the final score, but just won by a few points. And then the third game we played, we ended up losing 15-11. Again, we started off slow. We were down 7-1 and then got the turn. Again, we were up 8-7 at the turn. And we were rolling, we were playing well, and it was like really close, like 10-10, 10-11 or something. And then we had a few loose errors, like I hit a return into the net, Chris missed a return. We had like a couple points where we had chances and just didn't finish them. And like we had opportunities to win that one, and it just didn't go our way that time. But overall, like I was like really happy with how we played, and this is prepping us to play together in Newport.
Nice.
So I think we'll have to put something together for Newport. I do feel like our games actually matched pretty well, and when we were rolling and moving and hitting our stuff, we were pretty solid. And but no, it was fun, dude. And it was so hot and muggy there. Like it's been raining.
I saw. It was like floating on water. How much water was coming in?
Dude, so much water, and like you're sweating like crazy. And I have like my glasses were fogging up. Like that was some issues. This is the first time my glasses caused issues from like playing.
You ever played in Southern Florida yet?
No, it's even worse.
Oh yeah, it's bad. That's like the real test if your glasses are fog proof or not.
I need to figure it out. I've just never been big on contacts.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Do sports glasses not fog up as easy? Because they're like designed that way, right?
Yeah, and they actually have some stuff you can put on your glasses that'll make it not fog.
Do like some spray?
Mm-hmm.
We should have talked before.
I know.
Now we know. We didn't know.
I didn't think about that.
We didn't know.
I figured you'd played in the humidity before.
not. It wasn't this humid. This is the most humid I've ever played in. But no, dude, it was really fun. And like, dude, just big shout out to like Isaac, Will, John Q, Chris, all those guys. Like it is so fun knowing them, hanging out with them, and just I feel like we're all coworkers. We just chat, and it's really nice having them around. And I love hanging out with them. They're all doing good stuff, and I really appreciate them. And I really wish you were there, dude.
I do too. I got lots of Discord messages from just like random people that are like, "Hey, are you here?" And then they're like, "I see Braydon and all those guys. They look like gangsters walking around ready to check your grit." I was dying.
The you and Doug though.
That would be a bad combo.
That would I would. When you and Doug get together someday, okay, Doug and Bread and Butter. If you don't know Doug, just go watch one of his reels on their Instagram, and you know who Doug is.
Yeah, you can't not know.
Yeah, he is the exact same person. Like he is hilarious. A lot shorter. I didn't know he's pretty short.
Pretty short.
Yeah,
it's always hard to tell in videos.
Yeah,
like,
you don't know.
Like somebody messaged me like, "Man, Braydon's way taller than I thought he was."
Yeah, you can't tell.
They're like, "He doesn't make you look that short in your podcast." I was like, "I'm 5'11". And they're like, "That means you're 5'8".
But no, he was hilarious, and I just like when you two get together, I'm just gonna come along and I'm just gonna vlog the whole thing, and it'll probably be a very entertaining video.
It'd be fun. I do want to hang out with everybody.
Yeah, he was hilarious, dude. Like there was just one time we're at the tournament, we're just chilling on like the fence next to a court, and the Brasha sisters are warming up, And he and I were just like heckling him, and it was hilarious.
Love it.
We're like, oh, Selkirk. I feel like I've heard of them. And then Doug's like, wow, you guys are really unique. Like, that's really special. You guys are sponsored by that. Anyways, we were just like, oh my gosh, he was
Oh,
hilarious.
that's good.
We did like this 6-0 kind of meeting get together where
Yeah, so you guys played like tons of prototypes.
Yeah. Dale from 6-0 brought a bunch of prototypes, a lot of like big power paddles.
Oh, cool.
Like a bunch of them. They were juicy. And so I don't know what his plans are with those, but he's definitely got some stuff in the works,
Nice.
to compete in that kind of Gen 3 power level space. But so Doug's there. Doug and Dale are actually buddies. I guess they talk quite a bit, talk shop and stuff. But there were a bunch of drinks. Nobody's really drinking, but I think Doug might have been the only one drinking. So he's drunk. We get on the court. We're playing, and drunk Doug is very trigger happy. And dude, he was hilarious. I think he had one like really epic shot.
He's probably just trying to hit you guys the whole time.
Yeah, anyways, it was hilarious. He was just cracking me up.
That's
and
awesome.
Anyways, that was fun. But yeah, it was fun testing all the paddles, a lot of big power stuff coming from 6-0. He's still loving the edgeless stuff. They had a few mock-ups there, but
leaning into the infinity.
yeah, he had a handful of kind of infinity style big powers, a few with an edge guard still, but yeah, a lot of came home with a couple of paddles that weren't prototypes that they're getting ready to launch here soon. So, but no, yeah, some stuff coming from 6-0. Oh man, what else happened while we were there? Okay, this.
Did you whoop everybody in ping pong?
Oh,
Who was number one? I saw the pictures.
Yeah, we didn't. I ended up leaving. They started playing ping pong, and I had to go drop off Isaac at the venue because
okay.
we were like in the middle of a rain delay.
Mm-hmm.
And anyways, I took him back to the venue. That was so I didn't play with them, but
So they got lucky.
they got lucky and got to play. I played Chris for a minute, was whooping up on him. He thinks he's good at ping pong, but now he's probably questioning himself.
Nah.
And then let's see here. Oh yeah, so at this was another. So Doug's drunk at the 6-0 event, and there's like a semi-pro player there. His last name's Slutsky.
Yeah, was it Robert Slutsky?
Is that his name?
I think so. I know he's pretty good.
Yeah, he was good.
Oh yeah,
he had like this big hair, beard, and he was great. I don't even know why he was there, but he was there, and Doug was just like obsessed with
because of his name,
Slutsky, because of his name, the look.
Awesome.
He's like, I need Slutsky. And
he's like, I'm against signing pros, but not this pro.
Not this pro. He's like, this is the one pro.
That's awesome.
And he was just killing me with how he was just like freaking out over Slutsky.
That's funny.
I know he talked to him. I don't know what's going to happen
in the
there.
works? we're gonna see the fat boy on center court with Slutsky.
Yeah, it seems like a match made in heaven.
Oh.
He was already pitching like what the box packaging would look like.
Oh, he's gonna make him his own paddle.
Probably. Yeah, he was coming up with names. Doug was like, he's like, I have a whole bank of names that I come up with way before we ever. It's like just waiting for the right paddle for it, Yeah, Slutsky and Doug, man, they seem awesome. It seems like it has to happen. And then so this is the last couple, or I guess a couple more stories from Dallas. So the other one is so I found out that Coop is playing with a Paddle Tech paddle that has a longer handle. Mm-hmm. So she's playing with a Bantam 14.3 longer handle, and it has the square shape. So Annalee's Bantam is like the head size is a little smaller than like allowable dimensions, and so the Tempest kind of square shape maxes it out. It's kind of your standard shape. Mm-hmm. That makes sense, right? Yeah. And it has the longer handle, and she plays really well with it, obviously, but she's really wants Paddle Tech to like release this. She's like, hey, like this is a lot of people want this, and when I found out about it, I was like, I want that. Yeah, like Paddle Tech needs to release this paddle. But there's like some underground way to order this paddle. I think it's called the ESQ-C.
Yeah, no, what's funny is I've actually heard of it from on the Discord, and somebody asked if I got one, and then I Googled it, and nothing came up. So I was like, no, like they sent me TKOs and they sent me ALWs. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the paddle.
Yeah, okay.
So yeah, they don't like sell it, they don't market it. You just have to like.
You got to know somebody. And so I got information from DM'd Coop.
From Coop. Well, we were chatting at the venue.
Oh.
And anyway, so I got the information. I'm gonna try and get them because I think like a long handled bantam in the more traditional standard shape would be awesome.
Yeah.
And
There's a market.
I wonder why. I don't know why they haven't released that, because I feel like that's very not just trendy right now, but like I don't know. I feel like it could be better than their other one.
Did it have a nice handle too? Was the handle better than the ALW?
It was the same.
Okay.
But this is the funny part about that story. So we're talking to Coop, and she's like, I have one in my car if you guys want one. Because like it was Chris and I were both talking with her, and we're like, okay, can we have it? She's like, sure, but like she's like, it's in my car. It's parked like a half mile away from the venue. But she's like, she loves this paddle, and she's very determined and wants it to get.
She's like, somebody review it.
She's like, she wants some people to talk about it more. So she walks a half mile to her car to go grab this paddle, and we like had to leave. So we go jump in our car, and we're leaving the venue. And so she's walking back right as we're like pulling out. And as you leave the venue, you like pull out onto like a freeway.
Okay.
and so we pull out, we're driving, she's walking, we slow the car down, and she like hands us the paddle through the window as we're driving by.
That's awesome.
And so Chris has that. He took that one home, and then I emailed Paddle Tech and see if I can get my hands on them.
Nice.
But we're going to see if we can get these bad boys to market, because they could be really good.
Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah, I was like, I couldn't believe that she walked all the way to her car to snag it. And then we're just like, anyways, it was a pretty funny scene. I wish I had videoed it.
All right. Last story. You got to tell us about how your chat with Tyler went.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It was Championship Sunday, sitting in, just watching. And he just came up and sat next area, and we just started chatting. Nothing crazy.
Did you know who you were?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We recognized each other. I think he recognized me first. Just kidding. No, I started it. No, he's a cool cat, and he had ended up staying longer because he was doing some thing on Monday, like a little meet and greet thing.
Okay.
But no, he's cool. We chatted for 15 minutes or so, and then something came up.
You posted that story, and then I tagged him and was like, "Don't tell Braydon to fire him," and he's like, "Too late."
Gotta get rid of that dude. All right, dude. There's also a bunch of news going on this week.
Lots of news.
There's some fun topics. I'll let you take over from here.
So we got Andre finally gets his punishment laid down: 60-day suspension and $50,000 fine.
This was for the
illegal substance applied to the face of his paddle. He came up with another story of how it happened. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, what was his story?
Well, so several stories have come out since that. Like originally we heard it was it Gatorade or sunscreen and all this stuff.
Wait, there was a Gatorade theory?
Yeah.
It's going to make it worse.
No, exactly. It didn't make any sense. Now that the punishment's out there, he comes out and he says it was actually his training partner's paddle with a substance applied to it to make it harder to train against.
Do you believe that?
No. Because the main reason I don't believe that is because if that was true, why wouldn't you have just screamed that from the top of your lungs the second it happened? Instead of like making up other weird stories.
And just accepting the $50 fine.
The $50K, yeah.
That was weird, right? Like he comes with that story and it's kind of contradicting. Like, because then the other part of that is like he said his team is okay with the fine, we'll pay it, no qualms. But like that's a lot of money.
It's a ton of money.
And if that's the real reason why,
yeah, I know exactly. You wouldn't be. And there's rumors that Proton's going to pay it for him, and obviously we'll never know. My conspiracy theory is that the fine's so heavy because they're going to basically deduct that from the contract he's being offered by UPA.
Oh, interesting.
I think they're saving money on the.
But just the fact that, or I saw some people saying that 50,000 was a little too hefty. Do you have any opinions on that? Do you think it was too high?
$50,000 is a lot of money unless you're like the top pros. Like, yeah, I don't know.
Is he even making 50,000 from prize money and appearance fees or anything?
I don't know. I mean, he's not contracted, so I have no idea what he's getting paid. Is he only if he's only making prize money? I mean, that's a big chunk of money,
right? Yeah, so it did seem kind of high, but just the fact that they did that, I think is awesome.
Yeah. No, it basically sets the tone. Like, you cheat, and we are going to hammer you.
Yeah, we were just talking about in our last pod saying like they need to find these players or manufacturers when stuff fail or if they cheat, or it's just going to keep going wild because there's no repercussions. And then like the news about Andre came out like a couple hours after.
It was like right after we posted the pod.
Yeah. I was like, that's awesome.
So my only issue though is like I think that we need to like put these rules in writing. Like they need to start concrete rules. Like if you do this, this is what happens. If you like, because otherwise we're just like waiting for like who's deciding these punishments.
No, 100%.
Just like pulling it out of a hat. They got a hat with different punishments.
Right. That's why I think that's why this 50,000 felt like so much, right?
Exactly.
It's like, where'd you pull that from? Like, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah. If they had just written out like this is what would happen if you break this rule, that would curb a lot of issues, I think.
Exactly. So I think that's where we need to go with that. And what else did we see? Well, you experienced this. Email goes out during qualifiers in Texas that Joola Gen 3s can't be used.
Yeah.
So like games had already started. People had played matches with Gen 3s before that email came out.
Yeah, that was horrible timing. They haven't gotten the timing on something like this right yet. Like you that has to be earlier.
Yeah.
It's just so you can prep and get paddles, right? Because like people are flying to Dallas the next day, like amateurs.
Yeah.
With the Joola paddle in hand.
Next, that's the paddle they've been playing with, and they're assuming they can use it because it was used in the last PPA tournament.
Yeah, exactly. No, that was another mistake on their part. That I didn't talk to too many people about it at the venue, but I'm sure there was a ton that had to switch and kind of scramble and figure that out. I know I think even the pros had to kind of scramble,
Most of them,
right?
like some of them had like certain alphas that were still approved. I guess not all the alphas were approved, but some of them still had approval.
Yeah, they were playing like the Theseus.
Yeah, the Theseus. Yeah, so like basically the original alphas, like, which I thought was wild. I did see some funny stuff. They were like, how coincidental is it they ban it during the tournament, and then they have a nice Pickleball Central tent set up that can sell you a paddle.
Well, maybe that was the play. They were going for some extra sales here. But those Theseus paddles or whatever they're called, they sounded very similar. Like if you were to blindfold me and hit them, I don't know if I'd be able to tell the difference between those and the their current Gen 3s. And so I don't know if there was a big difference in how they play. They certainly sound the same, but the Johns went back to the Gen 2s.
I saw that.
And I don't know if they were the only ones. I think Anna Bright was playing with her old Gen 2.
Yeah, she had a Gen 2.
But I feel like
Fed was the one that most people were talking about because it looked like he still had a Gen 3. It was just a different alpha.
Yeah, Tyson was playing with one too.
Yeah.
I think Deckel had one.
Owner of was it 11624? Did I say that right?
Oh yeah.
You see his?
Yeah.
Brilliant. Savage marketing. I love that.
What did he say exactly?
It was like, if you have been affected by this and you need a paddle, I will overnight it to Dallas for you with a hat and t-shirt.
Yeah. That was hilarious. Really good move.
Love it.
But yeah, like I don't see any issue with them like banning it. Like it was probably smart, but just that they delivered it so late.
Exactly.
And it was also odd to me that like PPA or just UPA announces this new entity, UPAA, as like almost like a counter punch to them banning the Joolas. Like okay, we announced it so they could keep the Joolas alive, right? And then only to stand in solidarity with USAP on the banning or the delisting of the Joola Gen 3s. And so it seemed counterintuitive that they would announce this new entity and then say, "Oh, good job USAP, we're going to do what you're doing."
So reading in between the lines of that statement, because they did release a statement, I think the UPAA just doesn't have their shit together yet. Like once their list, like everything's not solid yet, so they had to go USAP.
That makes sense, right?
So,
they didn't have a real strong argument of why to keep them.
And pickleball tournaments happen so quickly. Like it was like a week before the last tournament.
Right.
Like a new tournament happens every week.
Sacramento's this week.
So I'm sure like firing up an entire equipment division with like rules is going to take a little while. Like it can't just happen overnight.
Right.
So
yeah, that's probably the real reason. That makes sense.
Women's semifinals. Did you catch any of that? Oh, were you there? Did you watch that?
No, I didn't watch it. And I actually have no idea what happened because
it was the best match ever. It was hilarious.
Oh, it's just really like
no, it was
hilarious
great match.
or entertaining?
Well, no, it was entertaining. It was a great match. There was terrible line calls. There was lots of drama.
Oh, okay. I feel like I did see something.
So Annalie Waters versus Solomon Devise.
Oh, this is singles, not doubles.
Yeah, no, I'm talking
I did hear a little
singles.
bit about this. I did hear. Yeah, tell us more.
So Annalie had three or four, like I'd say 4 terrible calls. Her bench made her overturn one of them. It was so bad. They're like, no, that was in. So she was like overturned her own call. But on like all 3 of these bad calls, Salome looks at Don, the ref, and he's like, "Oh, I didn't see it. My head was turned. Didn't see it." And then match point, ball's out from Annalie Waters. Davidze calls it out, and he overturns it the second she calls it out. And he's like, "That was in." He's like, "I promise you, it was even inside the blue." Like saying it was inside the line.
I think this is the call I saw.
Oh, so no, I clipped it and slowed it down. It was out. And the only
by like a couple inches, right?
And you could see blue in the video, and it's still really close, but the only person that would have a view on that would be Davidze. Like where the ref's standing, there's no possible way he could see if there was a gap between the line or not.
Yeah, when you're behind the ball, like ref, ball, line, it's really hard to make that call.
Impossible. So it was just wild. And then she lit him up. She's like, now you see a ball?
And like deservedly so, right?
Yeah. But
was it a pivotal moment? I don't know.
Yeah, it was match winning point.
Oh, okay.
She ends up still winning, so it didn't change the outcome, but because she was hitting bombs. And then then afterwards, she's playing with Annalie Waters' paddle. So they're both playing with the same paddle.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And Annalie Waters asks if she paid for it. Because she's not contracted to a paddle company.
Oh my gosh.
It was great. We need more of that in pickleball.
That's really funny. I wonder if they'll post that one or if they'll be like embarrassed to post it, like that full game. So I want to go watch it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's probably out there.
Yeah,
but
I don't know. I want to go watch that one because I did hear some chatter about that. It was
fun. It was it was a great match.
But yeah, good on Davidze, right?
Yeah.
Like she made it to the finals and she didn't win the finals, I don't think.
No. Leia beat her in 3. Took 3.
Okay, so she won a game though.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's really good at singles.
Yeah. Everybody's complaining about her grunts, saying that that's like a distraction.
No.
I'm like, they're tennis players. All the tennis players grunt.
Yeah.
Like,
nothing wrong with that.
So that was fun. That's kind of it for the pro news. Haworth. Did you watch Haworth play at all?
I actually watched that final against him and Ben. And I saw the scores of Haworth. His run to the finals in singles was amazing.
Yeah, he absolutely just steamrolled everybody.
Yeah, like he fed.
Yeah.
He made fed.
He was passing them left and right.
Yeah.
I was like, he's selling Babbalots left and right. Everybody in like one of the Discords was like, "What paddle is that? What paddle is that?" And like, I like shared a photo of it that I took, and they were like, "Have you hit it?" I'm like, "Yes, this is my photo." Like,
that's hilarious.
I messaged Rose. I was like, "Good day for Babylon."
Oh, is she saying anything back?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I bet she was pumped. Yeah, it goes a long ways when you get that exposure for your paddle.
Absolutely.
But no, he was kicking butt, and he won that first game in the finals.
Yeah,
and he looked awesome.
Was it 11-2 or 11-3 too?
Yeah,
it was a big win.
He just has some filthy stuff off that backhand. Like he like cranks that like wrist in weird ways, like contorts. I don't even know what he does, but it's wonky, and he can go a lot of ways with it. And
you can't tell which way he's going to go with it.
Yeah, he's tough. And then Ben kind of
does what he does.
Took offense to that.
Yeah.
Put the hat on backwards.
Yep.
And was like, I'm going to win this, and then did.
I mean, Ben's one of the best at adjusting. That's why he's the best. I mean,
yeah, it's pretty incredible how he's able to make those adjustments. Because Chris or Haworth, he was on fire, dude.
Yeah, he was wild.
He was hitting stuff.
Yep. So that's it for pro news. I had a couple calls this week. hopped on the phone with some people
for more paddle companies.
I talked to a paddle company and talked to a pro.
Okay, well, let's dive into that. So yeah, what pro did you talk to, and what paddle company?
So me and JMA, John Medina-Alvarez, actually had a conversation.
Okay,
we were just discussing different paddles and paddle technology. It was a real nerdy conversation.
What's he playing?
Oh, so he's not contracted to anybody right now. So
okay.
He's playing with a gearbox.
So for some reason I thought he had the Lotto paddle.
No. So Lotto did just come out with paddles. So I don't know if they're gonna have him use those.
Because he wears like Lotto clothes.
He does,
right?
yeah. He's got a contract with Lotto. But he's big into like paddle technology too. And he was talking about the struggles of like when we've talked about this, like in tennis, like every brand's racket has the same capability.
Yeah, it has parity.
Yeah. So now he's talking like it's tough because like if you sign a contract with the wrong brand, they could fall behind, and then you're stuck with not as good of a paddle as the person across the net from you. So it's like as a pro looking at contracts, it's kind of tough to pick what brand to go with.
Yeah, because you got to look at the future. You can't just look at right now. Because if you signed with Selkirk 2 years ago, you're like, okay, I got one of the more offensive paddles you can find, and then now it's not.
It's slow
there.
in comparison to so.
And they haven't made a comparable paddle to what's out there on the pro scene, and that's a good thought.
So,
like they got to consider that.
Yeah, it was super interesting just to see like a pros like aspect of like how you pick what paddle companies you choose to sign with.
I wonder how big those contracts are, especially at that like he's a great player, right? But he's not like a big name
because he's single specialist.
He's a single specialist, very niche, doesn't tour. He's not like at every event.
No,
he kind of picks and chooses here and there. So like his, I don't know if I want to say worth or like, I don't imagine his contract being that big money wise
as compared to some of the other pros.
Some other pros, and like, is it worth it for him to even get that contract? Or just play with every paddle you want.
No, we talked about that too. And like David say, I think that
she doesn't have one.
She's just picking whatever paddle she wants to play with.
Yeah, she's kind of in a similar boat as him, where like single specialist kind of picks and chooses the events she goes to.
And we've seen her play with like every paddle. Like I didn't even know she was playing with the Annalee paddle.
Yeah, I didn't know either. She was playing with those Vatic Pros for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, like at that stage, right? Like I imagine he's doing this more for fun than for money.
No.
And like, why not just go play the best paddle, like without worrying about contracts?
Yeah.
Like, just go play the paddle you want.
It was super interesting.
What was the conclusion? What was he thinking?
I mean, he was kind of asking me like what brands I see as innovators, and
what did you tell him?
Don't worry about that. That's topic for
why can't you say? I don't see what's wrong with that topic.
We don't talk about contracts and
no, not the contract. What brands did you say like, oh, these are innovative, these are ones to keep your eye on?
Oh, well, like he's even said he likes 6-0. I did mention like Standout to him just because they're up and coming and making more paddles. I told him if he loves the gearbox, I mean the gearbox is it's a nasty paddle.
Yeah,
I mean there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, it'll do the job
unless it gets, and that's another thing we talked about. Like, but if you align with one of these guys who's got this crazy power paddle, and it gets cut on like the core test, then you're like in a sinking ship. Like all of a sudden you can't use the paddle that you've been using, which I don't know. I feel like all the paddles are in a rough, like you're kind of in a weird situation right now with what's going to happen with the rules.
It's really weird.
So I'd be kind of, if I was a pro, I think I'd be kind of weary about who I signed with until we find out what's going to shake out with the UPAA thing and the core tests and all that stuff.
Yeah, like if your contract's up, maybe it's worth waiting if you're more concerned about the performance of the paddle versus money.
No, exactly. If you're just chasing the bag, take whoever's going to offer you the most money. But if you want, like, if your goal is to have the best paddle and compete, you might want to wait.
Yeah, it's probably worth waiting. Yeah, that makes sense. And I guess, for him, like, okay, maybe the contract helps with travel expenses, and like it never hurts to have a little extra money coming in. And so
you got to think if you don't have that stuff covered, that's a lot of money to pay week in and week out.
Yeah, like this Dallas trip, maybe like my flight was $400. Then you have the rental, 3-night stay. It adds up.
And that's for you, because if you think what's the pro entry cost?
It's even more.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So
maybe not. I don't know.
No,
PPA is pretty expensive for amateurs these days.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, just to sign up, it's a couple $100, for the fee and the 2 events. But it is more expensive for the pros. I think it's probably close to double, I want to say, for their entry fees and things like that.
See, that's why you see pros asking for hosts.
Yeah, they're asking for hosts. And I mean, if you're a PPA contractor, I'm pretty sure all that stuff is waived. But in his situation,
he has
to pay that.
Yeah. I mean, Haworth, is he a signed PPA pro?
I don't know.
I don't think so. He's been an APP guy. So there's still a handful of guys that are competitive.
Yeah, no, it's really expensive to tour and compete. It's getting harder and harder all the time.
Yeah. But that was interesting. And then I got a hold of Komodo.
Yes, this has come up a couple times in comments from previous podcasts. Komodo is a brand that is endorsed by Andre Agassi. I've looked at their paddles online. I've never hit them. I know they have something to do with Kevlar, but give us the deets there.
So Dave Milo's the guy running the show. Finally got a hold of him. We had a great conversation. Talked to me about the brand. So the high level paddles, the Katana is their Kevlar paddle. I guess it was actually like the first like all Kevlar approved paddle on the list. like it beats the Ruby by like 9 months.
Yeah, I can believe that.
So
9 months.
yes. So yeah,
Wow.
and he knew the dates, but so that was like their big.
They never made like a red version though. Theirs was still like blackish. Yeah, they haven't really gotten much media attention or just player attention for whatever reason.
So it seemed, and that was the thing. I noticed them more when I watched the U.S. Open because I had seen there was a bunch of senior pros using their paddles.
Oh, really?
And I'm like, oh, maybe these guys are just going after senior pros, which is different. I mean, you got to think that demographic is still the majority of who's playing pickleball.
Yeah,
as like
probably
the normal people. So I thought that was interesting, but now they're moving into a couple more pro level paddles. So they're going to send us the Katana and then his 2 new paddles that aren't out yet that are going to be.
Did he tell you how the new ones are different?
He didn't. He just said that one of them is going to be like a power paddle and one of them is more of a control paddle.
Okay.
They use a manufacturer out of China that nobody else uses, and he has a contract, so they won't produce anybody else's paddles. They'll only produce his.
Oh, that's a big deal.
So yeah, so he's pretty.
So if they do land on something that's really good,
then it's theirs.
It's theirs.
Exactly. And he's got some He said he does have some patents on some stuff pending, but we didn't. He was kind of busy between church, and it was cool to even get him on the phone.
Did he say what his connection with Andre was?
I totally forgot to ask, and I need to find out how that even happened. So he did tell me that Andre is playing with one of the new paddles he's sending us, the power one.
Yeah, that'd be fun to hear that story. You'll have to hop on another call.
That's fine. We'll hop on another call. One of our viewers said, "Stop saying hop on a." Did you see this comment?
What's wrong with saying that phrase?
They're like, you guys don't work at a call center. Like, maybe I do. You guys don't know what I do.
Yeah.
So
that's great. Some other paddle thoughts. So I want to kind of revise some of the ideas I shared about the J2K from last week. So I had originally said that the J2K was very similar to the Thrive. I want to walk that back a little bit. So I spent more time with it earlier this week, did more intense like paddle comparisons.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it's as juicy as the Thrive, but I do feel like it's more than the Ruby. And other reviews I watched of it, a lot of them say it's pretty close to Ruby, maybe a little bit less. I did feel like it was more. My power test came with the J2K giving me a little more than the Ruby, but I should go do a power test with the Ruby and the J2K on the same day, because sometimes, like, I tested the Ruby a long time ago.
Yeah.
And you had that human error with my test. And
you've been working out.
I've been working out.
There
I'm
you go.
like way stronger.
Yeah. So
I've gained like 4 pounds in the last
got to be
month
5
and a half.
miles an hour on your serve.
Minimal.
Yeah.
Like
you got to retest all your paddles, the whole database.
No, that is like kind of a concern or a flaw in the database, right? Like over time, as I do feel like I've gotten better at it.
Mm-hmm.
And so that, like it does give you an idea of the profile of the paddle, but it is, a flaw in the system for the power and pops test. And so I want to go do those side by side. And see what the power is.
Let's just do a Kevlar shootout. All the Kevlar paddles at once.
Let's go do a Kevlar shootout.
That'd be fun.
Yeah. Let's do it. I'm totally down. Friday?
We can do Friday in the morning, yeah.
Yeah, Friday morning, Kevlar shootout.
Let's do it.
I'll bring the gun.
Okay, we'll bring the gun. I'll bring I think I have some Kevlars you don't have, so
sweet.
We'll lay out as many Kevlars as we can get.
Let's go shoot it out.
Okay.
It'll be fun to have us. We'll both do it, and then see if the spread of the power and pop is different from our own results.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That'd be interesting.
That would be cool.
Like if for some reason this paddle you hit harder than I hit that same paddle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I know my number's going to be higher than you in general.
I don't know about that.
That's true. You've been working out. We'll see. We'll see if pickleball trainers paying off.
Yeah. We should talk more about that next week, because I have been enjoying that program.
Good.
But yeah, dude, I don't know. I think it's a great idea. Let's do it. And then, so I thought it gives me a little more than the Ruby, but less than the Thrive. I was talking with John Q this week about it. He was kind of in the camp that's pretty similar to the Ruby,
mm-hmm.
power and pop wise, maybe a little less, but there's always like a variation in paddles, right? Like mine was a little heavier, so they have a swing weight range kind of 115 and under, give or take 3 points. And mine
mm-hmm.
was 115, and Q's was like 111 or 112.
Yeah.
So it's possible that those 3 swing weight points are going to alter our opinions a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, it's it's definitely just that all court ballpark. I did feel like, from my experience, it was a little bit more, but not quite as much as the Thrive. And it's definitely not like a Thrive like copycat. Anyway,
the Azul hammers.
Yeah,
I busted it back out the other day. I'm just like, man, this thing hits so hard for a Kevlar paddle.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
I almost kind of want to go back to that one and give it some more time, and like maybe that would be a good kind of bump up in power, but still maintaining that forgiveness and stuff and whatnot. But anyways, that's one. I do like that paddle. And then so your other paddle babble. So Proton was in Dallas.
Did you meet him?
Yeah. So there's 3 guys.
Okay.
The guy, there's the guy you talked to. I can't remember his name a while ago.
I can't remember his name either. I only had that one conversation.
The guy looked like an NFL player.
So
he was tall. He had very large arms.
Big softball player.
Is that?
yeah. They're softball bad guys. So.
And then Charles, I believe, is the main dude.
Okay. That's who I talked to on the phone.
Was Charles?
Charles, yes.
Oh, I thought you talked to a different guy.
No, Charles. That's right.
Okay, you talked to Charles.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Charles was there. So Chris and I were sitting at a table, and then Chris Carson from Pickleball Central. He's like the head marketing dude over there. He came and sat down with us, and he texted Proton. He's like, "I got him. Chris and Braydon are at the table. Come talk to him.
Come pitch them."
So the Proton posse comes over. They sit down with us, and they're pitching their stuff, and they were they were pitching Chris pretty hard, and like I was part of the conversation, but not really. And like if I were them, I would do the same thing. Like I'd pitch Chris. You got to get Chris on your side. Anyway, so they're pitching Chris, and I'm chatting, asking questions, and then but like towards the end of the conversation, Charles looks at me and he's like, "So what do you do?" I was like, "Oh, ouch, that hurt, Charles." Dang. So I'm not reviewing Proton now. No, I'm just messing. But they that was pretty funny. And then but no, I do like some of the ideas of the paddles. Like they one thing I didn't like about their pitch was like I'm not a fan when brands try to build up their paddles by talking down others.
Paddles, yep.
And so I didn't appreciate it because he was kind of digging on some of the other processes and ways other brands make paddles and how their
carbon's fake, blah blah blah.
Right. And so
he gave me the same pitch.
I didn't like that. Yeah. And it's like, okay, if your paddle is performs well, like just tell me what you did different, what you like, and how you think it performs and stands out, but don't talk down other ways. Like that's not cool to me. And some of the claims they were making, I wasn't sure if they were completely true, and I need to dig into some of that stuff. But yeah, I didn't appreciate that approach. And then another interesting thing. So Proton's been out of sale for a long time.
Oh yeah.
And there's been like some issues getting some paddles out to people, and there was a bunch of Protons in the Pickleball Central tent.
People posted it all over the Discord. They're like, "Here they are."
Yeah, like we found where the stock is.
No, people are like, "I've been waiting months. Where's mine?"
Right. So that was a little odd. It's like, why aren't you shipping those out to people? But and then I wanted to go home with some and give those some more time because there are some questions about how those play and I'm broken in. John Q's done a review on them, so if you do want more information, you can go watch his review. But I can we can go get our take on it. Do you still have yours? What'd you do with yours?
Got rid of them. Gave them to a bunch of newbies.
So hopefully I can get some of those and see how they feel and play and share my opinion there. But they're making a big push, and they are doing something a little bit different. And I can appreciate that. And I like this. The kind of cold press style paddles is, kind of gaining a little more momentum recently with some of the struggles that these Gen 3 paddles have had. But I do think thermoforming is still very viable. Like it's not near as bad. Like core crushing for traditional Gen 2s is a lot better, more durable than it used to be.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, so Proton was working us, and
awesome.
It was funny. I was kind of being a smart ass. I feel a little bad with some of the comments. Even John made so the John Q joined us later.
Yeah.
He made the best comment. So the Proton pulls out one of their paddles, and John,
please tell me it was a pine tar comment.
No. John's like, oh yeah, that's that's just a Lux without a hole in it. I was just like losing it in
The Series 2.
the Series 2,
Yeah.
and it was pretty funny. And anyways, but they're I do want to give those some time and give some proper thoughts there.
They weren't bad paddles. I didn't think they were as like they pitch it like these paddles are just like insanely game changing, and I just didn't feel that.
Yeah, and they are pricey too, which is a factor.
$280 for the Series 1.
They did emphasize that those paddles like have a break-in period to where you really find the sweet spot with them, and you need to play with them for a couple weeks. And so,
So we might not have gave it a fair shake.
So we may not have given it a fair shake, and we'll do that once I get them. I'll reach out to them and remind them, tell them who I am, and see if they'll send me some paddles.
I'm that guy you didn't know.
Yeah, yeah.
That's funny.
It was great. And then you have a note here about Alpha paddles.
Yeah, so they sent me the Slipstream. It's their new paddle from Alpha Pickleball. I don't know if you've seen these yet. So there's a poly core and then an aramid core. The aramid core, 17 millimeter, has the craziest sound. It's 18K carbon. It sounds like an aluminum bat. It sounds wild.
Huh.
It plays fine. Like it's.
What? So do you know? I'm trying to think. What core does a Z5 use? Is it aramid?
See, I'd have to go look because it made a really loud sound too, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been a while since I swung a Z5.
No. So it was Nomex. Nomex is different from aramid, I think.
Is it different or is it just a different brand?
That's actually, I don't know that.
Yeah, that
I
might
don't know.
actually be. Those might be brands.
What is Nomex? I'm going to Google that right now. But yeah, keep talking.
Okay. But anyway, so these paddles, they're kind of cool. They have like little slits in the top. They're black. They're kind of sleek looking. But the 17 millimeter aramid core, it sounds like you're hitting dingers. Like it throws off your opponents. It plays well. It's a little too poppy for me. I let some people try out their paddles yesterday and they actually really liked them. But I just thought it was super unique. I was like, I messaged the owner and I'm like, well, if you wanted to make the paddle have the most unique sound, you definitely did.
You found it.
You're like, and I don't know how I kind of want to cut it open because I'm like, why does it sound like that?
There were a couple 6-0 prototypes that were tingy.
Okay.
Like that. I wonder if it was.
Oh man,
Must have been an
I'll bring
aramid.
this out on Friday. So
Must
you
have
can
been an
hear
aramid.
it.
All right, so this is what Google's telling me. It says Nomex is an example of a meta variant of the aramid. So Kevlar is a para aramid,
Okay.
whatever that means, but it sounds like it's some sort of aramid.
Okay. That's right.
So-
And that's what I thought.
So the Z5 is probably in that same family of aramid cores, and it has that kind of funky,
Ting sound.
tingy feel to it. And I've hit others. So, oh man, what was the name? Cortex had an aramid, I believe, that was kind of tingy like
Was that the one that I hit like 65 miles an hour on?
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah. And that was before we kind of learned about the foam expansion challenges.
Oh, that was a cool paddle.
We didn't know.
Speaking of sounds of paddles, though, I did something the Komodo guy told me was he went to Florida to like a buddy's house, and they live in like a community that has pickleball. You are not allowed to play on their courts unless you are using an owl paddle, and they provide them. There's 50 owl paddles.
That's the first I've heard of that.
Yeah. So it's like a full pickleball community, owl only.
Did I tell you about one of those?
Yeah, did it come?
Yeah, it came. I've only hit it against my garage wall, but no, it didn't feel horrible. Dale actually had one that looked just like the owl at our 6-0 thing that just was a rocket launcher.
Like, but it was his paddle?
Yeah, so because he was in China before he came. No, not like his paddles, like one of the prototypes.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah,
Like,
it was his. So he was in China 2 weeks before he came here, and so that's why he had all these prototypes with him, because he was there working with them on different stuff. And kind of last minute, they just handed this to him. So he's like, "Sure, I'll take it," and he brought it, and that thing was just freaking rocket
That's
launcher.
awesome.
Now he had a few that were just hitting bombs. But yeah, it'll be fun to see what Dell
what they
comes
come
up
out
with.
Nice.
Yeah, I talked about his process, his R&D process, a decent amount with him this week, and I do feel like 6-0 is one of the few brands that is actually like an innovator.
Mm-hmm.
And so like he and his dad work on concepts at home, and then he will go to China with his the stuff he made,
Mm-hmm.
and work with them on how they can build it into their workflow to make these, because they don't, he can't always like implement everything but he can implement pieces and just kind of see what the factory can actually do with what he's come up with. And so it's actually a pretty cool process. And I don't know how many people are doing that because I don't know how many people are like vocal about it, but they do it that way. And I think that's pretty unique. It's certainly not, shelf shopping. But yeah, no, he's got some good stuff going on there. It'll be fun to see what the next 6 months look like for 460. I know they have a cheaper or less expensive kind of standard shape paddle that's more control oriented. For some reason, there's not very many cheaper control standard shape paddles.
No.
And I was like, we have one. This will be nice.
Nice.
People will buy this, I think. Plus, it looked really cool. It was kind of had some fun colors to it.
Oh, nice.
Anyways, but yeah, the Aramid, I wonder if it sounds like that's a thing that the China factories are starting to push.
Push a little harder. Yeah.
So I wonder if we'll see some more of those come out. I know that Chorus is another brand that we chatted with there and met up and hit some of their paddles. And
Did he have a fire on him? I've been talking to him on Discord.
Okay, so you've heard about the fire.
Well, I've been talking to him on Discord. So.
Yeah. So he's been pretty vocal about that fire he's been working on. So he had it there. Unfortunately, the prototypes he had all had core crush. So I was like, I don't even want to hit these because it's not going to be.
They'll figure it out though.
Yeah, but they're working on that.
Nice.
And they're pushing that Aramid core there. He was trying to do like a Kevlar, which is the idea of the fire, right? Kevlar face, Kevlar core, which is a really clever name with the fire with a lot of red Kevlar around. But Matt was really cool. He's a good player. Brian Briffidi was there.
Because they played together, right? Was it them that played together, or
no? They didn't do the tournament together,
okay.
But they're buddies. They live close together in Texas, and I asked him why he's so smart. He doesn't know. He just said he is.
Why are you so smart?
But no, he's brilliant. He had some game. He plays with like this $30 Amazon paddle.
No, he doesn't. Really?
He does.
He makes graffiti machines.
He makes graffiti machines.
That's awesome.
I asked him what his sales were pickleball versus tennis. He said it's still heavily skewed tennis.
Oh, okay.
And I would have thought it would have been starting to equalize or maybe even pickleball more because a lot of people on Discord and I know every company has a graffiti now. And a lot of individuals are buying graffitis just to test their own paddles and configure them. It's getting more popular. And he's the only guy that's got a portable swing weight, twist weight machine that you can get. It's a really cool product.
It is.
If you want to test your swing weight and twist weight, I like Brian. This is an unpaid ad.
Unpaid advertisement.
Go get one. Go look up Briffidi. Their machines are cool. It's the machine that I use, that John Hughes, that Chris. This is how we all get the numbers for our database.
I've got one.
Kyle's got one.
Make sure you buy the twist weight adapter.
Yeah. What do you think? Have you been having fun with it?
Oh yeah, I love it. I test all the paddles I get now.
Do you have a preference of how you set up your paddles now that you kind of know what everything is? I like the 118 to 120 swing weight range or something like that.
Haven't really dialed that down yet. Right now, it actually seems like 120 is where I'm actually liking my paddles, but I've always swung kind of heavier paddles. So
you used to weight your 18K diadem to 9.5,
9.75.
I think it was a tank.
Yeah, I need to measure my Shogun because I threw some of your tape on there, but I didn't. I just went by eye, and I'm so I've strips this long on each side, kind of up the throat, and I'm
and it feels good.
Oh, it feels great.
Nice.
So.
Yeah, I think that one's 120, a little over 120 stock. So with that, it's probably 125, 126.
Probably, and it plays good. My hands are so fast.
Nice. Okay, maybe you are stronger than me. All right, dude. I think that wraps up for us. Is there any other topics you got?
That's it. That is it.
All right. Thanks everyone for listening. Talk to you later.
Have a great day.